So what is the state of voter participation in California? For a multiracial democracy, it requires inclusive and reliable data, which we don't have fully. In California, or really any state in the nation, it does vary by state. The main way that we identify race ethnicity as researchers, or at least most researchers, is using imputation. So it's essentially statistical guessing when a value is missing for somebody. So we've created an inclusive data advisory committee to talk about how we can advance some of our understanding and maybe our methodology around identifying race ethnicity. Younger voters have turnout rates, depending on the election, that are 20, 30, sometimes 40 percentage points lower than senior citizens. When we look at these numbers, lower for young people, lower for voters of color, it's not a story, right, of apathy. It's not a story of groups not caring or not being involved. It's really a story about the remaining barriers that still serve to reproduce these numbers. Differences or disparities in turnout rate equates to underrepresentation. For us, we're talking about numeric representation. So for a group to be numerically represented in the electorate, their share of the pie of voters, right, their proportion of those people actually casting a ballot in an election should be about the same as their share of the overall eligible, not population, but eligible voter population. The way our electoral system is designed in the United States is campaigns and candidates that do the overwhelming bulk of the mobilization and outreach, voter connection, asking people to vote. Their work isn't about getting everybody out to vote. Their work is about getting what? Their voters out. They're probably doing very little mobilization, right? Just reaching out maybe to their really high propensity voters, maybe for lots of other reasons, donations, things like that too. Candidates usually use modeling to kind of figure out the biggest bang for their buck and target where they're gonna put their resources. And so if you are a voter of color, if you're a young person, anybody really in a historically underrepresented group, if you fall in that less likely or unlikely voter model, you are much less likely to get any sort of outreach or mobilization. Bottom line, as I always like to say, is we need to make it easier for people to vote. That's the institutional, like the election reforms, that's addressing the disconnection that people feel from the political process, right? And the barriers that are at play.